Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take a whole stack of sources, find those really crucial, sometimes kind of surprising bits of knowledge, and, well, we serve them up just for you. Today, we're heading off, virtually at least, to a district in Tokyo that lots of people think they know. I'm talking about Sugamo, the place with that affectionate nickname, Grandma's Harajuku. Probably heard that one right. And maybe you picture somewhere, charming, a bit nostalgic, just for older folks. But our mission today, we're going to dive much deeper than that image. We want to peel back the layers, like centuries of stories that are etched into every single street and corner there. We're aiming to uncover this really rich historical tapestry, show you not just Sugamo's deep past, but also some frankly surprising hidden gems that could appeal to everyone, all generations. We've been digging through, well, everything really, ancient historical accounts, modern local guides, even personal reflections to piece this together. So look, you might think you know Sugamo, but honestly, by the end of this deep dive, I think you'll see this part of Tokyo in a totally new light.
Oh, absolutely. It's true. Even just the name Sugamo itself, well, it holds centuries of history. And there are a few really charming theories about it, too. Gives you a sense of its ancient roots straight away. One popular legend, it's quite nature-based, suggests the name came from this large pond that used to be there. Lots of ducks nested there, apparently. See duck's nest, or Sugamo.
A duck's nest. That's such a lovely image, especially for, what's now a really bustling part of Tokyo. But I heard there's another idea, something about the land itself.
Exactly, yeah. And another theory points to shuga, which is a type of marsh plant that suggests Sugamo was once, well, basically a big wetland area.
Yeah.
Connects it right back to the natural environment it came from. And, over time, the spelling actually varied quite a bit in old texts. You see things like Kamino or Yokok. But it was Tokugawa Yoshimune, he was an important shogun, who eventually standardized it to the king that we use today. It just really highlights how deep the history goes here, much further back than people might realize.
And it wasn't just old, it was important strategically, too. If you, transport yourself back to the Edo period, Sugamo wasn't just some random town. It was actually the very first tateyaba. That's basically a designated rest stop on the Nakasendo Highway, which was, a super vital road. One of the two main roads connecting Edo, the capital, to Kyoto.
Yeah, just imagine that. Countless travelers.
Right.
Right. Tired merchants, maybe even samurai all stopping right there. Maybe for a cup of tea, a simple meal. For some people, it was the last bit of comfort before hitting the huge, overwhelming capital city. For others, it was the first break as they started a really long journey away. So it was a place of hopeful new beginnings, but also probably quite often tearful goodbyes. It held a huge amount of significance emotionally and practically for centuries.
Right. So with all those people passing through, you have to wonder, what kind of spiritual comfort did they look for on those long, probably tough journeys? And that, interestingly enough, brings us straight to Sugamo's spiritual heart in a way. It's famous Jizo statues. There are two main ones, right?
Indeed. First, there's the Edo Rokujizo Sun Shinshoji, or Shinshoji Temple. That one houses one of the truly ancient protective Jizo statues. It was one of 6 great Jizo figures that historically guarded the entrances to Edo. Jizo is, well, it's impressive. Made of copper, stands about 2.68 meters tall, that's nearly 9 feet. Just standing there, a silent witness for centuries of people passing by. It said that even Tokugawa shoguns, when they were out hawk hunting nearby, would use this temple as a rest stop. It says a lot about its importance.
A shogun's personal pit stop. Wow, that really does bring history to life. Okay, then there's the other Jizo, the Togenuki Jizo Koganji. That seems to be the one most people associate with Sugamo today, and that's where the story gets really interesting, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, Koganji Temple, it's actually a bit more recent in Sugamo itself. It moved there in 1891 from Ueno. But its fame really comes from this captivating legend, almost miraculous, you could say. And it really struck a chord with people. The story goes, there was a woman who accidentally swallowed a needle. Terrible thing. But she was cured when she drank water in which a paper amulet, an omikage with the Jizo's image on it, had been soaked. And the needle was said to have just, well, emerged, actually piercing the paper amulet itself. This amazing event gave the Jizo its name, Togenuki. Literally means thorn pulling.
Thorn pulling. Okay, so it's not just about physical thorns like splinters or needles then. Sounds like it's tapping into something, maybe deeper.
Exactly. And that's what's so insightful, I think. This isn't just some quaint old story. It really reflects this universal human need we have to sort of externalize our inner suffering, deal with it symbolically. So this Jizo became known for pulling out the thorns of body and mind, meaning, yeah, not just physical problems, but also worries, anxieties, the pains of the heart. that connection to just everyday human struggles is what made it so comforting, so famous. Especially maybe in a busy city where, personal anxieties are always kind of bubbling under the surface.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, now switching gears a bit here. One thing that really jumped out at me from the sources was finding out about Sugamo's past as like a center for horticulture, a green hub. It wasn't just about travel and temples, it had this amazing green thumb. Apparently, the shogunate even had its own Sugamo Gyokun, a medicinal herb garden right there.
That's a really crucial point, yeah. It totally shifts how you might think about Sugamo.
Mm-hmm.
And if you connect the dots here, within Sugamo, there was this area called Some Village. It got famous for its chrysanthemums, for developing new plant varieties. But maybe its biggest horticultural legacy, the one that's touched gardens literally all over the world, is the Some Yoshino cherry blossom.
Wait, hang on. The Some Yoshino, you mean the iconic pink cherry blossoms we see everywhere? You're telling me those started right here in Sugamo?
That's what the history suggests. The stunning cherry blossoms you see all across Japan, and yeah, in parks from Washington, D.C. to places in Europe, very likely have their origins cultivated by local farmers in that very village, Some, within Sugamo. It kind of challenges that idea that big cultural things only come from, central powerful places. Here it grew out of a quiet community of dedicated growers. And these farmers, they also developed this thriving seed merchant town. They sold their new plants and seeds to all those travelers passing through on the Nakasendo.
That is just incredible, a real aha moment. Global impact from such a local spot. But, okay, not all of Sugamo's history is quite as beautiful as its cherry trees, is it? We don't need to touch on a more somber, but really important part of its modern story, the Sugamo prison.
Yes, indeed. It gained a pretty grim reputation, known as the Bastille of the East. And then, really significantly after World War II, it became the Sugamo Detention House. This was where the Class A war criminals, including figures like Hideki Tojo, were held for the Tokyo trials. It represents a profoundly dark chapter in the area's and the nation's history.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How does a place reckon with a past like that? Such a heavy, painful history. How does a community move forward from that while still acknowledging it?
It's a powerful question, and the answer, I think, lies in this really remarkable transformation. If you look at the bigger picture today, that exact site is now home to Sunshine City, which is this huge, vibrant commercial complex. Skyscrapers, an aquarium, shops, even a theme park. It's such a stark contrast. A really potent symbol of rebirth, almost. Like the city saying, okay, we went through that, but we're moving on, we're reaching for the sky. And somewhere nearby, tucked away, you can still find the monument for permanent peace. It's a quiet, essential reminder of that past, encouraging reflection without forgetting.
That's a really powerful image of transformation and resilience. And speaking of interesting historical bits, there's that quirky little story about Tokugawa Yoshinobu, right, the last shogun. After the Meiji Restoration, he ended up living quietly in Sugamo for a while. But apparently he had to move again because he couldn't stand the noise. The noise of the railway being built for Sugamo Station.
Yeah. It's a fun little anecdote, isn't it? It kind of humanizes history. Shows how progress, even back then, could be a pretty noisy disruption, even for the former top dog.
Right. Okay, so we've traced this amazing historical thread. Now let's look at Sugamo today, its modern charms. Because while that grandma's Harajuku nickname is famous, the Jizo-dori shopping street, it really is a treasure trove. Something for everyone, not just older people. It's like a living museum.
Oh, absolutely. Walking down Jizo-dori, it feels like stepping into this vibrant, nostalgic embrace. It's a place where tradition isn't just, preserved in a glass case. It's actively lived, enjoyed. And you really can't talk about Jizo-dori without mentioning Maruji. That's the legendary red underwear shop.
Ah, yes, the red underwear. You kind of have to wonder, right? Could a pair of bright red undies really bring you good luck? Because at Maruji, they definitely believe it brings health and fortune. And people flock there for it. It's such a unique, kind of quirky local tradition.
It's a delightful mix of local folklore and commerce, isn't it?
Right.
But beyond the undies, the street is a genuine food adventure. You've got famous spots like Mizuno and Iseiya, known for their special Salz-Daifuku or Salz-Daifuku. That mix of sweet and savory, it's just, it's a case of Sugamo's soul, really, a flavor you don't find easily elsewhere. Then there's Matsumiya Shoten, a century-old stall where they hand-blend shichimi togarashi.
Oh, the 7-spice chili pepper. They blend it right there for you. Custom.
Right before your eyes, you tell them how spicy you want it, perfect for sprinkling on noodles or soup. It's an experience in itself. And if you're feeling adventurous, there's Ahoya Ninikudo, a specialty garlic shop. Apparently, aho is Spanish for garlic, which is interesting. And Kifukudo, another century-old spot specializing And a happan, those sweet bean buns are like little edible works of art.
Wow, okay, definitely a food lover's dream. But it's not just the shops, right? It's the whole vibe, especially on certain days.
Exactly. The atmosphere is key,
Yeah.
particularly on days with a 4 in them, the 4th, 14th, 24th of the month. That's when they have the Ennichi, the temple fair days. The street just comes alive. Lively stalls pop up, sometimes street performers. Just this vibrant, bustling energy. Really feels like you've stepped back into an old festival. It's an amazing cultural immersion.
That sounds absolutely fantastic, like the whole street just buzzes differently. And thinking about the spiritual side again, back at Koganji, the Togenuki Jizo temple, they have that really interactive practice too, the washing cannon or RA cannon.
Yes, this is such a beautiful example of like hands-on spirituality. Visitors find the part of the cannon statue's body that matches their own ailment, and they gently wash it with water, hoping for healing. And what's really fascinating is how you can see the history of the practice itself. The original cannon statue got literally worn smooth over centuries from people scrubbing it with harsh tawashi brushes, so the current one. They encourage you to use a soft towel instead. It's like a physical record of all that devotion.
I love that detail. A statue worn down by prayers. That's powerful. And for something really off the main track, like a genuine hidden gem you wouldn't just stumble upon, there's the Zoroku Jizo.
Ah, yes, this is one of those real local secrets. Definitely rewards a bit of exploring. It's tucked away down a small, quiet alley. This Jizo is revered specifically for healing eye problems, ensuring safe travels, and granting wishes. And the tradition is you buy a tiny stone, an omikajishi, pray, and then you stack it carefully by the statue. It's this very quiet, very personal moment of faith away from the crowds, a really unique glimpse into local belief.
That sounds really special, almost intimate. But Sugamo's appeal isn't just the bustling streets or the quiet alleys, right? For people seeking peace and quiet, it also has these incredible green spaces, like Rikujin Garden.
Oh, Rikujin is magnificent. It's a stunning Edo period, circuit-style garden, meaning it's designed for strolling around. It's officially designated a national scenic spot, world famous for its weeping cherry blossoms in spring, and then stunning autumn colors later in the year. It was created by Yanagisawa Yoshiyasu, who was a close aide to one of the shoguns. Stepping inside is like stepping back into the refined beauty of that era. Every rock, every stream, meticulously placed.
Sounds beautiful. And nearby, there's also the Kifurukawa Gardens, which mixes Western and Japanese styles.
That's right, a lovely fusion. You get a formal Western rose garden alongside a traditional Japanese landscape garden. It has connections to the old Mido Tokugawa family estates. And another really serene spot, that surprising historical connection we talked about, is the Somei Cemetery.
Right, the cemetery where the cherry blossoms originated.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a peaceful, final resting place for many famous Japanese cultural figures, writers like Futaba Shime, art critics like Okakura Tenshin. But it's also probably known as the birthplace of the Somei Yoshino tree. So you can have this very peaceful blossom viewing experience right where it all began. History, nature, memory, all intertwined.
So we've covered this deep history, the hidden spiritual spots, the lovely gardens. But Sugamo isn't just stuck in the past, is it? It feels vibrant, like it's evolving. You mentioned it's still loved by seniors, but younger people are moving in too, especially since the pandemic.
Yeah, and this is where it gets really interesting for its future, I think. Local businesses and Taisho University are actively working together. They're making Sugamo into a kind of learning campus for students. And these students aren't just, studying it from afar. They're setting up their own unique shops. There's one called Gamal Marché, selling regional products, another called Shigaku Day that hosts events. This synergy, this collaboration, it's bringing fresh energy, new ideas, different perspectives into the area. It really proves that Grandma's Harajuku is actually for everyone. And young people are using social media now, too, highlighting its retro cool factor, making it appealing again.
That's such a great example of how a community can respect its heritage, but also, embrace the future dynamically. It feels like Sugamo isn't just a place where time stopped. It's more like a living testament, showing how you can celebrate the past, really live in the present, and still gracefully evolve.
It really is.
Yeah.
It does make you wonder, how does a place so steeped in tradition manage that? Keep reinventing itself for new generations? I think a big part is that community spirit, that commitment to omotenashi, that unique Japanese hospitality, and their openness to new ideas, like working with the university. They're not just preserving history like it's behind glass. They're actively building a future where everyone feels welcome and can find their own connection to this amazing place.
Wow. So our deep dive into Sugamo, it's taken us on quite a journey, hasn't it? From the mystery around its name, its vital role on the Nakasendo Highway back in Edo times, through the comfort of its Jizo statues and its surprising fame for plants and cherry blossoms. We touch on that difficult wartime past and saw its amazing rebirth into Sunshine City, a symbol of peace. And now we see this vibrant, welcoming place today, full of amazing food, unique spiritual practices, peaceful gardens, and this really exciting burst of youthful energy blending in.
Sugamo really is a gentle reminder, I think, that sometimes the most profound stories, the most rewarding discoveries, they aren't always on the main tourist drag, you know? Yeah. They're often found in these unassuming corners, just patiently waiting to be explored.
Absolutely. So maybe next time you're in Tokyo, think about stepping off that beaten path. Take your own deep dive into Sugamo. Go beyond just the red underwear, although definitely check that out. It's iconic. But really let yourself sink into its many layers of history. Engage with that genuine spirit of Orenechinashi and see what own hidden gems you can uncover. You might just find a new favorite corner of the city, one that's deeply textured and maybe challenges everything you thought you knew about Tokyo.